What's your answer to the critics who say this had to be NATO?
I do understand exactly in which way Russian they are thinking about. I do understand Russian mindset. Look, they are not able. They are not could not take the. Here, I just ask you to help me to transform my thoughts.
They could take a defeat from NATO.
Yeah. Yes.
But not from, because of course, in Moscow's eyes, Ukraine is a little small country, villages, and I won't even repeat the name that they use for Ukrainians, which is very derogatory about them being just, you're farmers.
Yeah, thank you so much for correcting me. So it's good for them to be defeated from NATO, because NATO, it's 32 countries, great military budget, lots of equipment, aircrafts, thousands of combat jets. But Ukrainian, it's a small one.
Not very
it's
smart,
so disgusting.
It's sophisticated.
But look, we've changed everything.
Yeah.
Here's a bias I've read some time ago, that the bumblebee, according to aerodynamic rules, he's not able to fly.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know and still fly.
So Ukrainians are like the bumblebee. Nobody told them they couldn't fight the Russians. Hello and welcome back to On the Edge. In this episode, we're actually going to have on a guest that we've previously had on the program, Ivan Stupak, who is a retired officer from the SBU, Ukraine's security agency. It is that agency that orchestrated this historic and audacious Operation Spiderweb, using drones to strike at Russia itself, deep into the Federation. It is a bell that cannot be unrung, a new form of warfare that's been developed right here by the Ukrainians, shocking the world with their inventiveness. So there's a lot to discuss, and we do. We talk about how the operation itself was conducted with the utmost security and secrecy. We talk about the techniques. And of course, we talk about what this means for the war and for Ukrainians in general. So, Ivan, welcome back. I had anticipated having you back on the show, but I didn't think it would be this early. I didn't think it would be so quick. It's been less than a month since we last saw one another. And of course, the reason is Operation Spiderweb. So let me just let you speak to my audience about what happened as we know it now with Operation Spiderweb, and what do you think it means?
Oh, let's discuss. To be honest with you, I was shocked, really shocked when I saw it, because no one, to be honest with you, no one in the human history have done it before. Even Israel's security service, Mossad, Shabak, no one, because it's some kind of Hollywood movie. Mm-hmm. So when I saw these drones flying out of the cargo, my first thought was, oh, look, it's like a movie, Fall of Olymp. Do you remember when there was a small scene when the drones, they are taking the president of the United States, Morgan Freeman. He was
Olympus Must Fall, I think is the movie.
Exactly. So, wow, the next one, maybe it was a Call of Duty, but it doesn't matter. It was really sophisticated and incredible operation. Okay, let's discuss stage by stage.
Yeah.
Let's start from the very beginning. As far as we know, this operation was planned at least January 2024. Mm-hmm. So, of course, we understand. On the first stage, I assume that the number of people who were informed about this operation from the ground to the top I think they were limited with maybe 7, maybe 10 persons, including the president of Ukraine and Mr. Maluk, the chief of security service, and the several low-ranked employees of security service of Ukraine. And on the next stages, I do understand that number of people increased, but not significantly, and every new person who was involved in this operation previously, he was checked by internal security service for some reasons to understand, could we trust this person or we should leave it aside?
Maybe he has a gambling debt.
Yes.
Maybe he has family that is compromised.
100%.
Right. It's just operational security.
And stage by stage, the number of person increased, and no one from this person were informed for 100% about the general idea of this operation. Some of them were informed with 20% of information. Some of them 50%. Some of them 70%. But persons who were informed for 100%, they stay limited, as I told you before, maybe up to 15%, but not more. Because it's high. It's a incredibly secret operation. Of course. What else? There were high risk that operation could be broken on every stage because of human factor. It's a great weak point for every operation, human factor. For example, someone who was hired in Russia Federation to transfer this cargo could be stopped by highway patrol police, and they checked and maybe, hey, guy, could you open your cargo? So that's all, the finish. And lots of places were rented not so much lots. I mean, several of places were rented as warehouses, as apartments for some of Ukrainian operatives who stayed in Chelyabinsk region, in different other regions, who have the main responsibility was to pick up these goods, these drones from, I don't know, China, from Kazakhstan, I don't know, from somewhere. And we have to understand these drones, they were transferred to Russia not in one cargo, not just one bunch of drones, 150. So one by one, maybe a couple of them, but not more. Small
groups,
small groups,
small numbers. Yeah.
Small groups of explosive materials.
Ah, yes.
Also.
Yeah, probably the most risky thing.
Yeah, because on every stage it could be uncovered by, I don't know, special dogs, K99, because it's explosive materials. And one more weak point is staying in Russia Federation, because we do understand it's a dictatorship regime. We do understand that lots of law enforcement agencies, police, Rosgvardia, National Guard, counterintelligence, FSB, surveillance cameras with face recognition function. So, and lots of people who works on FSB inside Russia. Someone, I don't know, who is living next to airfield, and he could anytime report to FSB that, hey, here's some suspicious guys. They're hanging around. Please check them. That's all.
And that's what the FSB does. I mean, that's part of their job is to do counterintelligence and
definitely. And those Ukrainian operatives who rent a warehouse where all these wooden buildings were assembled. So they rent this building and they rent this warehouse, and the legend for everyone what we are doing here, because you have to understand several of male who are rent a warehouse, they could be under suspicious. What they're doing there? So they have to explain to neighbors, to someone around them, that we are doing so not interesting job. It's not so interesting for you. And look, on every stage, local police could interfere in this operation because they would like to check, what are you doing here? Maybe you are keeping drugs, maybe you're doing something illegal. So they have to act something which could not attract attention of Russian police, not draw attention. So, leave it. So it's not so interesting. And they done. So the operation was conducted incredibly good. As far as I know, only fifth location. There were 4 locations, 4 airfields, and I know that the fifth one probably Ukrainka airfield, far east, and there this truck, this cargo exploded. I don't know why. With the Ukrainian drones, exploded. And the attack wasn't successful on this airfield.
Well, before we started recording, I mentioned to you that I went to Murmansk when the Kursk went down, and I've been to Irkutsk because that's the gateway to Baikal, and I did a story about the ecological damage being done there at the freshwater lake there at Baikal. And I mentioned that to you because I think the audience that don't know Russia very well, don't understand. These are enormous lengths of distance between anything significant, any settlement that is significant up to the city of Irkutsk or the city of Murmansk. It's mostly forest. You might have a couple of small villages here and there, but these are very distant and they're very remote. So for them to be able to get these trucks right up to those airfields without being stopped or checked, because that's quite an accomplishment.
These wooden buildings were chosen by Ukrainian officials. Officials in security service for particular reason, because of course they are so big. As you saw on the footage,
right.
And they're big and they're not draw so much attention. It's just a small wooden buildings.
It's something for the dacha. Maybe you could put it out behind the house or a little prefab.
Because if you will transfer something covered with some kind of material, fabric, so it will definitely draw attention by local police. What are you transferring here? Please open. We will check it. But outside you could see. It's not so interesting. It's so boring. Okay, get away from here. It was a good legend with
cover story.
Story for these goods. And once more about this attack. The drones were operated remotely. We have to understand. Someone of your audience will tell, "Okay, what the big deal? Okay, operated remotely." But pay attention to one thing: you are not able to buy SIM card in Russia just freely. You're not just allowed to go to the grocery store and give me a SIM card starting pack for mobile service. You have to show your ID. So every SIM card connected with ID of the person. So you have to understand. It's a big deal. So you have to find persons who will buy different SIM cards in different regions.
Yeah, because that's something a lot of people may not understand as well, is that Russians have 2 kinds of passports. One is an international passport and one is a domestic passport. So you would need a domestic passport from that region, correct?
I'm not from
identification card or something for that region?
I'm not familiar with the procedure.
But regardless, you have to show documentation.
Yeah,
So
documentation.
all SIM codes. So somebody must have been buying SIM card contracts and SIM cards.
Not anonymously.
Yeah.
Because this SIM card connected with exact particular person.
Wow.
So you are not able to show Ukrainian passport or Azerbaijan passport. No. Only local passport. I'm not sure about the particular locations or Chelyabinsk region.
But you have to have a domestic Russian passport. So somebody was using a domestic Russian passport. Real or forged? This is a question.
Maybe real, because fake passport, it's high
dangerous
risk.
As well.
So you have to buy it one by one during the year. one, then a bit later, next one. It was also great depression. And one more. We know that Russia, they've got something which is called black magic. It's electronic warfare. It's really great and sophisticated equipment which could jam anything around. It depends on equipment, but it could jam a network in the radius maybe from 200 meters up to several hundred kilometers. So it depends on what kind of equipment. And was high risk that on these particular locations, in these airfields, they also located these jam stations, and they could be activated anytime, and the drone will just fall on the ground because they will lose connection. So Ukrainian operatives, they've got limited time to get this drone from the cargo and reach airfield and hit exact aircraft.
So they would need to do it quickly before the defenses were established or they were warned. So they must have also collaborated with the timing for all the 5 locations, because wouldn't there be a warning system from the Russian? If there was an attack that was an hour before the attack in Murmansk, say that happened an hour, Irkutsk happened an hour before, they could warn the entire system. So this had to be highly coordinated.
Coordinated, because they've got Russia. They are living in different time zones.
Right.
So +1, +2, +3, GMC, etc. And one more thing I would like to share with you. It was, as far as I know, there was a doubled system for this reserve system for these drones in case of electronic warfare, but I'm not totally sure. Okay, it's just the rumors. In case of EV will be activated, they've got how it's called, machine vision.
Okay.
So these drones, they were educated. Is it correct to say educated? No,
artificial intelligence.
How they studied. Yes. And as the objects were used some very obsolete aircrafts in Ukrainian museum in Poltava region.
Yes, I've heard about this.
Yeah, but we don't know.
So that the drone could identify the old Soviet, which is what the Russians are still using.
Yeah.
The Bear, the Tupolev 9.5.
9.5 or 160 and 22.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because all of that is, obviously the way that this was conducted was,
and so sorry, one more thing.
Hollywood movie.
Every particular airplane, this aircraft, they were hit in particular place, not on just a random. Okay, I will hit in the wing or in the tail or the
engine,
cabin. No. So in every particular plane, there were designated particular place where you have to hit. You can find in open source, Mr. Maluk, he's standing at the table. He's looking at this photos of these combat jets, and you can see red crosses on different parts of aircrafts.
Why do that?
Because you have not so much attempts to hit these aircrafts. You have at least one attempt, and this attempt should be successful. Maybe he had located some kind of very expensive and crucial equipment inside this aircraft, maybe fuel tank, I don't know. And as you could see on some these planes, there were already adjusted missiles on the pylons. So the planes, they were ready to start combat fly and to launch these missiles toward Ukraine.
And we also saw some footage where clearly there's some sort of ordnance that is what we call cooking off. So it was They must have had active munitions on some of these aircraft, because we see them exploding after the initial explosion. And we have heard, and I'd like to get your input on this, is that the time for Operation Spiderweb was because Russia was just about to launch some sort of massive air attack.
And one more, okay, of course. Now we are going to gray zone. It's just an assumption. Previously, 3 weeks before this attack, Ukraine conducted lots of airstrikes on Russian soil using deep strike drones. So from my side, I think it was attempt to threat to fright Russian military officials, and they have to remove these combat jets from locations.
I heard this
on
too, yes.
On European side, deeply inside Russian territory. So the main idea was Russians, they have to deploy these combat jets, and the density of these combat jets on particular airplanes should be very nice. Not 1 or 2 planes on an airfield, maybe 20.
Yes.
So to reach maximum effect.
I'd heard this before. A contact of mine in U.S. Military intelligence said that it was so sophisticated, not only everything we've already talked about, but that they made the Russians dance to their tune to move the aircraft further back, but by doing that, they all brought them together at the airports that they wanted them brought together at, which is a level of manipulation and control that is incredible. Is that basically what you're backing up as well? This idea?
I see. I stand in for this position because I'm totally sure it was the one part of the operation. Like birds, they were frightened to move on the other tree where they were awaited for, I don't know, hunter, for fox. It doesn't matter. And the last couple days, yesterday, President Zelensky, he decorated one of Ukrainian operative with the highest award, Golden Star. And then one of the guy from security service, now he's called Hero of Ukraine officially.
Rightfully so. Yeah, absolutely rightfully so. Let's talk about these planes and what actually was destroyed. How much damage was really done to the Russians? Mm-hmm. And what does this mean for the front line?
Okay, let's discuss. Okay. According to reports from Ukrainian side, at least maximum 41 airplanes, they were damaged / destroyed. Okay, it was the first report on Sunday, but lately, according to some centers, they analyzed lots of satellite images, and they state that only 12 of aircrafts were totally for 100% destroyed. They left only wings or only tail. Everything was burned down, and at least 7 were heavily damaged. Currently, right now, we are not 100% sure for how many were destroyed because we have to wait for more confirmation from satellite imagery because it's a significant documentation. But of course, even there were only 20 damaged or destroyed, it's a great number. Of course, let's discuss how many these planes were operated in Russia. According to Institute of how it's called, ISS, International Study.
ISI? The International Study of War?
It's a CIPRI. Okay. Let's discuss this information from Stockholm Institute of War. CIPRI. Okay. They states that at the end of 2024, there were about maximum 130 of strategic airplanes on operative duty in Russia Federation. Every type, 295 to 160 and 222. We have to know these airplanes, they were produced in Soviet era. Mm-hmm. Late 1960s, 1970s, maybe 1980s. Mm-hmm. So at least 40 years ago, more than 40 years ago. So they are pretty obsolete. And the one funny thing, according to some Ukrainian expert in military sphere, military area, they states that Russian side, they lost technology of producing these aircrafts. So it means they are not able to replace these aircraft with new one. So here's an explanation why they are still using. It's not a piston engine; it's a turboprop. Yeah, turboprop engine.
Turboprop. The Bear is
it's pretty old one.
Yeah.
Really old one, but they're still using. You can find in open.
Those are the ones that like harass the North Sea over Scotland whenever they want to kind of trouble the UK. They fly one of these Bear, the answer to the B-52, or they'll fly it over Alaska, just so that we have to scramble, and they can judge time, and they can kind of saber rattle.
Yeah, they started this patrolling operation in 2007 because Putin would like to show to everyone, and especially to the United States, we can do it. We can also patrol our territory using these strategic aircrafts, but nobody knows whether they were equipped with a nuke weapon or it was just empty tanks.
Right.
No, nobody knows. And one more, there is no possibility for Russia to replace these aircrafts. Of course, they're able to produce tactical aviation, Su-30, Su-35, etc., but not strategic aviation.
And also the A-50, the command and control.
Yeah,
they don't have a lot of those.
Yeah, as far as we know, at least 2 of them were also destroyed during this attack, and at least one was destroyed
about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, somewhere in that area over the Black Sea.
Yeah,
if
it was
I remember
shut down.
correctly.
Yeah, we were using very.
And they don't have a lot of those things, and that's command and control. So that brings me back to the question of what is the ramifications on the battlefield. I mean, they fly the their AWACS, the A-50. Part of their role is to identify where Ukrainian forces are located, where
Ukrainian launched missiles, Ukrainian F-16 combat
electronic
jets.
warfare platform. It's surveillance, command and control, logistics.
To see every piece of Ukrainian territory, even far beyond front line, deep inside territory. So, and they were aware about, for example, Lviv region, we've got 4 F-16.
There's a HIMARS. There's a HIMARS. We see the HIMARS. Now we can target the HIMARS. That's what's the A-50. That's what the A-50 does.
Yeah.
So losing not only the A-50, but the other some of which drop the glide bombs and then stay in Russian airspace and things like that. How important is this going to be for the front?
They lost the ice. No, not every ice, but some part. And look, here's one more thing. Everything is very important is for crew of these airplanes. I mean, operators who are at the computers, these monitors, they are looking for threats. And as you mentioned, during the first attack, the very experienced crew was totally destroyed. Lots of officials, experienced officers, colonels, captains, they died. And it was a great tragedy for Russian Air Force. Who cares?
Okay.
Who cares? And let's discuss about the side effect. We have to admit, this operation have no significant impact on the battlefield, unfortunately. Okay, let's discuss. These aircrafts, they were used to launch cruise missiles, big one, 5, maybe
Kinjals
7. No, Kinjal missiles, they're launched from MiG-31. And here's cruise missiles. They long, 5 meters long. This missile maybe 7, big one, and they could reach about 2,000 kilometers, and they could maneuver on the horizontally and vertically on the ground, and they overloaded Ukrainian anti-aircraft systems, and they done a lot of harm for, first of all, Ukrainian civilian sector, Ukrainian infrastructure, especially energy sector. And of course, they tried to hit some of Ukrainian military warehouses, places where equipment is repaired, We have to understand, but they're not used. They not used these aircrafts to attack battlefields.
Okay.
We have to understand. We have to draw a line. Battlefield is for battlefield responded only tactical aviation. Su-25, they called Grach. Grach, I don't know. It's kind of bird, Russian bird.
Okay.
And Su-35, they're dropping glided bombs. That's all. And on the battlefield, nothing changed. Nothing. The number of Russian personnel remains the same. Number of tank, APC, battle taxi, still the same. So no great effect. Of course, we have to understand that now Ukrainian is compete with Israel. I mean, Ukrainian security service compete with Mossad, with Shabak to be the most sophisticated and most advanced security service in the world. Don't take as offense, but United States security services for 20 years, they are not able, for last 20 years, they not conducted anything comparing with this operation. Of course, they do lots of undercover operations, but it's a new stage. And only Israel security service and Ukrainian could compete in this sphere. The same situation about the Chinese security service, Ministry of Internal Affairs. Same situation with Russian security services, because they're able just to conduct some assassinations in Europe, or maybe in UK, for example, Alexander Litvinenko to poison him, or to poison Skripal from a Russian spy,
or to kill the guy in Germany.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, assassinations,
Yeah.
but not very sophisticated. It's just a guy with a gun.
Like a criminals.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, and one more thing. I'm totally sure that every security service entire the world, they saw this footage, and every security service saw the situation on different side. For example, some of them became not panic, but more how it's called, became nervous because of course. But what if, for example, okay, let's discuss North Korean regime, and I'm totally sure that Kim Jong-un, he trying to realize and to think, what if, for example, U.S. Security Service or CIA would like to assassinate me using these drones? What can I do? Well, what about my armored limousine? Will it save me? No, because FPV drone is able to destroy even battle tank.
Yeah.
So we have to understand. Of course, from this perspective, in China, Xi Jinping and his security service, they also became nervous. It's a new stage of assassination could be realized. On other side, okay, let's see, for example, let's discuss South America. Narco drug cartels. So it's a new stage or new chapter.
These drones are not very expensive. The cartels have plenty of money. I'm sure the Americans are thinking about I think every military is now thinking about Ukraine has changed with this operation. We've crossed
the line,
and we can't go back. Drones are going to be with us forever now.
Not only one drone, it could be
swarms.
Yeah,
or deep range, or all the rest, all the new advances that are being made. Yes, and it leads me to ask you. Yeah, we on the ground, on the battlefield, things are not going great for Ukraine. The Russians are not making. As we discussed last time you and I sat down, the Russians are advancing.
Slowly
but surely, every day they're advancing. So on the battlefield, yes, there are negative things happening. But this is such an enormous event. When the history of the war is written, Operation Spiderweb will be part of it. This is the downing of the Moskva. This is the Ukrainian incursion into Kursk. These are points in the war that are going to write the history of the war and are huge Ukrainian successes. And I just don't know why we can't, every time those of us who are trying to get the information out there that Ukraine is actually very capable at what they're able to do covertly or with drone technology, the sinking of the Black Sea Fleet, that's another important aspect. Why is it people can't get over the idea that Ukraine can be very successful?
There is maybe several answers. First of all, lots of people, companies, and the government, they would like to have a deal with Russia, even right now. I definitely know that U.S. government is still under consideration the resuming gas supply into Europe. Because as far as I know, Richard Grunel, he's a frontman of this negotiation with the Russian side to, as far as I know, to buy Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2, and resume supplying gas from Russia to Germany and to whole Europe. So money. Lots of money. It's $1 billion and billion of dollars, hundreds of billions.
So the idea of Russia losing this war is not something.
First of all, it's the money, and the second, it's a nuke. 5,500 nuke warheads, which is stored somewhere in Siberia, somewhere in Baikal. Also, a nuke triada aircraft. These missiles located in silos and fleet. So it's still argument for lots of people.
Always with Russia and its nuclear arsenal that makes the West.
It's a nuke baton, which is in the hands of Russians.
Yeah. What do you say? You talked about how tight the security was and how only certain people knew everything. Some people knew a little bit more. So it's exceptional OPSEC or operational security. Ukrainians are exceptional at operational security. But what do you say to the critics after Operation Spiderweb happened? Oh, no. Ukrainians couldn't have done this alone. No. This must be NATO. NATO had to be involved. This is what they say in Moscow. This is what the useful idiots who repeat the lies from Moscow say. This couldn't have been the Ukrainians. It couldn't have been. They're not smart enough. They're not capable enough. They don't have the technology. What's your answer to the critics who say this had to be NATO?
I do understand exactly in which way Russian they are thinking about. I do understand Russian mindset. Look, they are not able. They are not could not take the. Here, I would just ask you to help me to transform my thoughts. They could take. Lose. They could take a defeat from NATO. Yes.
But not from, because of course, in Moscow's eyes, Ukraine is a little small country, villages, and I won't even repeat the name that they use for Ukrainians, which is very derogatory about them being just, you're farmers.
Yeah, thank you so much for correcting me. So it's good for them to be defeated from NATO, because NATO, it's 32 countries, great military budget, lots of equipment, aircrafts, thousands of combat jets. But Ukrainian, it's a small one.
Not very
it's
smart,
so disgusting.
Sophisticated.
Let's see an example.
They underestimate you.
Black Fleet on the Black Sea. So, according to everyone, rule of war. Ukrainian couldn't do anything. It's not able to do nothing with Russian Black Sea Fleet, because we don't have
there's no
fleet.
Ukrainian Navy. Fleet. You don't have a Navy.
No Navy. Only small vessels we were operated.
Coast Guard.
Yeah, small one. But look, we've changed everything.
Yeah.
Here's bias. I've read some time ago that the Bumblebee, according to aerodynamic rules, he's not able to fly.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know and still fly.
So Ukrainians are like the bumblebee. Nobody told them they couldn't fight the Russians.
And it's one more time. It's not a propaganda. You could see where's the vessel Moscow.
The entire Black Sea Fleet is now bottled up in the east of the Black Sea because you sank the ships with unmanned. Naval
for assault operation
drones. You hit the headquarters in Sevastopol with a storm shadow, I believe it was.
It was even one submarine was destroyed.
One submarine was destroyed in dock. Sevastopol is no longer strategically viable for the Russians, as long as
the Russian fleet now based in Novorossiysk and Abkhazia. So it's an eastern part of Black Sea.
I don't know why we can't get the narrative that Ukraine is actually quite capable at achieving military victories. The myth of Russia is still there. Why we're talking about OPSEC and keeping the people in the know to a very small number. They didn't tell the White House. The SBU didn't tell the White House.
Of course.
Why do you think
I have explanation.
They did not tell the White House?
One more time. We are operating in the gray zone because we exactly don't know what was exactly from one side. Of course, what if Ukraine will inform White House? White House, we are planning here the great sophisticated operation in next day. So just for your information, there is no guarantee that in 4 hours time, for example, Axios mass media will cover the story according
it would be leaked to
according to our anonymous source in White House. Ukrainians are planning to conduct great strike or everything will be broken. Okay, we have to understand.
Well, you said before, if any one link in the chain had broken, the whole thing would have.
Of course, from my side, I do believe that U.S. side was informed directly after first airplane was hit. After the first airplane was hit, so the first side was informed.
Yeah. Only after it was already in action.
Yeah.
For operation. Well, it's an American. I'm sorry to hear that it can't be trusted, but I understand completely. We were speaking about naval drones. Of course, we talked about Spiderweb a lot, and we'll go back to Spiderweb, but also recently the strike at
Crimea
the
Bridge.
Kerch Strait Bridge.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about how important that is.
Of course. Okay. About this operation, of course, comparing with Spiderweb, it looks like a very simple one-stage operation, but it was also a long time ago planned, and I explain you why. Crimean Bridge could be considered as one of the most guarded object in Russian Federation, such as Kremlin, such as Valdai, where the Putin stays sometimes, his residence, and the Crimean Bridge. We do know that lots of aircrafts over the bridge, Su-30, Su-35, they're always patrolling airspace. Pretty much number of helicopters, they're patrolling airspace and patrolling Black Sea to prevent approaching of Ukrainian drones on the sea. We know about Rosguardia troops. It's National Guard. They are patrolling whole entire bridge, on the bridge, under the bridge, around the bridge. They're looking for suspicious cargoes, for suspicious guys, for observers, etc., etc. Of course, we know about underwater operation conducted by military divers. They observe these pylons for some materials, for some explosive, but nobody knows in which way. But Ukrainian managed to deploy just realize 1 ton of explosive materials. For your audience, it's about 500 lips. Yeah, is it correct? Pounds.
pounds, 500-pound bomb
Yeah,
explosive.
yeah, materials. So secretly that Russians did not manage to they wasn't able to detect this deploying, and we understand that this transferring was not only one time, it was several time deploying of explosive materials to one particular pylon. From my side, I do believe Ukrainian side used some kind of unmanned underwater vehicle without any presence of human. So remote control.
And was that the explosive,
Yeah,
or were they planting explosive? Okay, so that was the explosive.
Yeah, one way ticket. So deploy, I don't know, maybe 200 kilos, and the next 200 kilos. And here's a question: why Ukrainian side Ukraine used so little of explosive? Maybe we should bring more explosive materials to guarantee destroying of this pylon. From my side, I do believe that here's a not explanation, but example. Window cleaners on skyscrapers. So when he start from 100 from the top, he goes to the ground. It takes him, for example, 1 week to clean all windows, and then he had to go back. And from my side, I think these underwater guys who checks these pylons for explosive materials, they're so limited, maybe several of them, and they have to check lots of pylons. Maybe they have several, up to 100 pylons on this bridge, and they have to check one by one, and it could take them maybe a week. So Ukrainian side, they've got only 1 week to deploy materials before they could be discovered by Russian operators.
Okay.
So there's also a window of time.
Do you think it's possible that the Kerch Bridge could be taken down?
It could be, but right now, let's be honest, Crimean Bridge is not so strategic object for Ukraine, because it was a strategic object during 2015 up to 2023 maybe. But currently, right now, Russians, they managed to establish routes from city of Rostov toward Crimea. They managed to establish railways from Rostov, and now
along the western side of the Sea of Azov there, yeah.
Yeah, and right now this bridge is only symbol of occupation. Of course, if we will be managed to severely damage this bridge, of course it will have a pretty much effect on logistic this in Crimea, but not so significant.
Yeah. But you mentioned the psychological aspect of it for the Russians. How bad do you think this has been a blow? Because they can't ignore it. You know, if you look at like Solovyev or Skabayeva or all the Russian state media, they acknowledge it and they're angry about it, but they don't really talk about it. They're trying it's not to.
Because they have to admit that the Russian security measures, they are not so enough to protect a Crimean bridge. And one more thing, everyone saw this footage when exploded this pylon, but here is a hint. What kind of camera was used? It was surveillance camera, and Ukrainian side managed to intercept this transmission. So it's also one more sophisticated operation of Ukrainian cyber.
How damaging is this to Russians' sense of like invulnerability? Because Putin promised that everything would be fine, that we wouldn't return to the chaos of the 90s. That's how he came to power.
But he not kept his.
But now he's got airfields exploding. He's got drones. He's got the Black Sea Fleet sinking. He's got explosions on the Kerch Bridge.
But nobody in Russia is able to say something because
So you don't think it's going to threaten
until right now. I do understand that lots of Putin IDs and his closest friends, especially Lavrov, etc., they do understand that everything gone in wrong way. But what they could do? Nothing. They have just keep sitting in this vessel and believe that everything will be good and that Putin will manage to get them on the other bank and everything will be great. Because one thing they would like to continue, they would like to stay alive and still spending money.
Yeah.
Or not in Russia. It's not interesting. They would like to spend their money earned in Russia, but in Europe and in the United States. They would like to visit Las Vegas, to stay in a casino, to spend their money in casino, to use private jets, because it's not interesting, totally not interesting to fly using your 50 million euros private jet toward Sochi.
To Perm.
Nice, okay,
Vladivostok.
Toulouse,
Yeah.
Lisbon.
I want to have my enormous yacht with 2 helicopter pads, but I want to have.
In Monte
I want
Carlo.
to be in Monte Carlo or Cannes.
Not Sochi,
or
not
Hvar.
Gelendzhik.
Yeah, not in Sochi, not in Vladivostok. Yeah. No, I get it. But nevertheless, this is the other thing, is that there's going to have to be a response.
Yeah.
The Russians, and we all expect it. We here in Kiev and around the country, I know, are anticipating a response. How worried are you?
Let me interview you.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. You are foreigners. You are staying here in Ukraine, in Kiev, for a pretty long time, and as a regular citizen of Kiev, you could hear the
anti-aircraft fire,
aircrafts, bombs, ballistic missiles. Are you afraid? Are you still waiting for Russian strike using something, I don't know, ballistic missiles, I don't know, Oreshnik, hazelnut?
Yeah, I mean,
are you afraid?
I am. They've been doing it for 3 years. I mean, I don't. I think the air defense is still very good here, and I think Putin. If you're asking me if we're changing the tables, we're changing the tables, then I will be perfectly honest with you. I don't think that Vladimir Putin wants his legacy to be the Russian leader who destroyed the Holy Lavra or who struck the birthplace of Kievan Rus. They want to take Kiev. They don't want to destroy Kiev.
Yeah.
Putin's legacy, if he were to hit the Lavra or if he were to hit St. Sofievsky with an Oreshnik, that would be his history. That would be his legacy. So I think part of that saves us.
Okay.
I think they can try precision strikes on the Rada or the presidential palace, maybe. They could try and terrorize us.
Okay, but what about you? Are you still
Me?
afraid? Yeah. Or
Am I still afraid? I'm always afraid when things are going boom, but it's not a fear that I'm going to let drive me away. I'm staying.
Yeah, look, now you answered like a regular Ukrainian citizen, because, of course, we are waiting for some response. We are waiting for, as they call it in Russian, акция возмездия, revenge act. We have to make something as a response, and it should be something great, enormous, with lots of casualties, just to frighten Ukrainian people. But what they can do, of course, let's imagine. Okay, they could use massive strike using cruise missiles, of course. They could strike Kyiv and lots of Ukrainian citizens along the front line with lots of ballistic missiles. And the cities, Kharkiv, Sumy, Dnipro, Odessa, they are very, is it correct? Vulnerable, yeah? Because
vulnerable.
they have no sophisticated anti-aircraft system such as US-supplied Patriot.
Yeah.
Only Patriot system is able to intercept Russian ballistic missiles. We don't know. We don't know the system is located in Kyiv and in some other regions, but not close to battlefield. And we understand the cities is very weak, I mean, in terms of air defense. What they can do else? Of course, hazelnut, Oreshnik. Oreshnik, it's it's a it's an impressive weapon, but it's not effective. We do know that at least three. No. Let's start from the very beginning. This missile is it's just a simple missile, nothing special. But the warhead, it's called Module Universal. And as far as I know, there were only produced 3 these warheads with 6 components. So everyone divides also into 6 components, and only 3 were produced, and they were produced in Ukraine, in city of Dnipro, and long time ago they were transferred to Russia, and now they used one. At least we know. We don't know about
Dnipro. I think.
Dnipro, exact on a particular location where they produced this warhead.
Oh, is that why they hit it with the Oreshnik?
Not only one reason, because city of Dnipro and this particular...
Yeah, I mean, Dnipro is strategic, so is
yes, strategic, and here there was...
all the cities that cross the river are
and they
strategic.
located lots of underground facilities
In Dnipro.
in this particular place where Oreshnik would like to hit. It's called KB Yuzhny, Yuzhmash. It's a strategic enterprise since Soviet era, and lots of strategic intercontinental ballistic missiles were produced during the Cold War, and lots of underground facilities, 5-7 floor underground, which covered with cement, concrete.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. And look, I mean, we talk about being afraid of what Russia might do, and most of the people I know aren't. They're not unafraid, but the Russians are going to do what the Russians are going to do.
And maybe, sorry for interrupting you, maybe they would like to make some revenge towards security service of Ukraine. Maybe it's just one kind.
Or maybe try to assassinate the president or Budanov or
or Maluk or whatever,
or something like that. Sure. But here's what and between our conversation, which we're recording a couple days before I'm going to be publishing this discussion, who knows what will happen between now and Sunday when I put this out. We'll see. And none of us know.
No.
What I do know is that every Ukrainian that I speak to is very proud of Operation Spiderweb. It has been... Well, I'll let you. What have you seen in your fellow Ukrainians when they heard the news that Spiderweb was so successful?
They were shocked. They were shocked while they were watching this footage, and they saw how one by one this aircraft explodes. One, second one, third one. Lots of fire, lots of black smoke. Oh hell! What the hell? It's incredible. It's incredible, really incredible. My feed and Facebook was just filled with these footage with these photos of burning down jets. And the days after, Monday and Tuesday, I saw additional footage discovered by security service when we could see different airfields, different aircrafts destroyed. A-50 with this huge antenna on the tail. Mm-hmm. It's a significant operation, really.
And what is the atmosphere? What has been the result for Ukrainian morale?
Morale boosted incredibly, really for Ukrainians. But as we discussed before, the side effect, of course, they will make a revenge, of course, but we are proud, but they will revenge, but we are proud.
Yes, I know. That's exactly what I'm hearing from my friends as well, is that this is great news that we hurt the Russians so badly, so publicly, but of course we're all waiting for some response. Do you think that they're going to that there are more tricks, that the SBU has more operations that are being prepared, covert inside Russia. What are your thoughts about more to come?
Okay. I'm not familiar with operation, to be honest with you. I have no insights, but as far as I know, lots of operation on a different stage of finalization. Lots of operation because security service is pretty big number of operative officers. Everyone, or not everyone, but lots of them are preparing pretty much number of operations in different regions, close to battlefield, not so far away beyond enemy lines, some saboteur operations, and also some particular divisions. They are responsible for conducting some operations on Russian soil, Moscow region. Some of them focused on eliminating Russian military officials from maybe general staff, some propagandists, some traitors who stayed now on Russian soil and blaming Ukraine. I mean, former Ukrainian citizen. Maybe someone who is staying in Europe. We don't know, but lots of operations have to come.
Yeah, and you think there will be more covert action by the Ukrainians?
Look, here's a how it's called when you lost lavushka trap. Here's a trap. It's like it could be compared with iPhone. When the first iPhone was released, we were shocked. We were waiting for second one. We were shocked, and the third one. It's not so good. We were expecting much better, much something sophisticated. So it's a trap. Next operation, we're expecting to be more fabulous, more explosive, and here's the trap.
Raise the expectations.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to see a lot more. As we finish here, and again, thank you for coming back at
thank you so much.
Such short notice. But I just thought that this is a turning point in the war. I don't know if you feel how important. As we conclude, how important has the last week been for
nobody
Ukrainian
on the
effort in the
entire
war?
planet have done the same before. It's awesome, with no doubts. It's a new, not even chapter. It's a new book. Really, it's a new book.
Ukraine has changed not only this war but warfare.
We don't know. We're not sure.
We can never put this back in the box again. Drones are with us now.
Yeah,
forever.
100%. It's you said correctly about the drones and the new chapter, and the world won't be same as it was before the 1st of June.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. This is a whole new world when it comes to war, and Ukraine has been at the front of it. And just the last question, if you want to talk to my audience here, and just tell them how is there something you'd like to tell them about Ukraine and the war effort, and what we can expect in the future, and Ukraine's determination to keep fighting. I think it's important to tell people.
Look, don't be afraid of Russia. Russia is just a territory. It's not about it's not about some idea. It's just a territory where lots of people would like to conquer entire world. So they have no idea. They would like to conquer, but you have not to be afraid of Russians because they're not so sophisticated. They're not so trained. The only advantage of Russia is money and the manpower. That's all. So please don't be afraid, and just see on Ukraine how we are fighting, how we are doing, and you are staying here in Kyiv for a long period. You can see that everything is still working. The people on the streets, thanks for Ukrainian soldiers, but lots of people, I mean, common regular citizens, they are still donating, and the donation, it's a blood of this war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I am very privileged to be here. I am thankful to be standing
Thank
with
you for invitation.
to stand with the Ukrainian people. But I'm not a Ukrainian. I'm just a guest. So I'm going to close this out by saying congratulations to a Ukrainian at a Ukrainian success, and I hope that you have a whole bunch more soon. So thanks for coming in, and congratulations on such a wonderful, successful operation to really make the aggressor feel the pain of the war that he chose to begin. So thanks very much.